Hey, everybody, welcome to the Turn 2 podcast. Scott Kornberg and Troy Johnston. Before we bring on our special guest today, did want to say we are recording this at the end of the season. We love doing these interviews live, and we wanted to have some cool stuff for you into the off season, which begins for us in just a few days. So you will probably listen/watch this episode a little bit later, but as we get going, I do want to introduce Dane Myers, who's back on a rehab stint with Jacksonville. First off, one of the best guys we've had in the clubhouse the last couple years. Secondly, is it weird to be back here on a rehab? I know you were here to begin the season as a AAA baseball player. You get called up again by the Marlins after a really amazing start. Technically, by the way, 23 game on base streak from April 2nd through today.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I'll probably break it today now.
I just that was my mistake. Anyway, what's it like to be back here on a rehab as opposed to when you were here as a AAA player?
Yeah, it's cool. It's definitely a little weird, especially joining guys that I think deserve to be up in the bigs.
Oh, well, thank you.
But no, it's cool. Kind of sharing my knowledge and talking to the younger guys that have gotten the call up here and kind of just picking their brain on what their thoughts is and trying to get up to the big. So it's cool to share that experience.
For you, when you get that call, and we'll get into your journey, which is super cool, everything you've overcome in your career and really life as well. When you finally get that call with the Marlins, I mean, what was that feeling like for the guys who hopefully are going to experience that very, very soon?
Yeah, it was special. I got a lot of people to thank along the journey. I didn't do it alone, that's for sure. But I actually missed the first call that I got to get called
I
up.
remember this.
I was sleeping. If you know me, you know I'm not gonna answer the phone a lot of the times. Troy knows that.
Yeah.
So I missed the first couple calls, and then my roommate came knocking on the door, and he was like, "Hey, I think you got a call you need to take." So I woke up at that point and got the call and told my family and friends. But it was cool. Obviously, a lifelong dream, and having that come true was special.
So one of my favorite call-up stories that I had, you had a second call-up last year, if you remember the story a little bit. Maybe you remember it a little bit better than me, but you were sitting at a casino table,
I was.
and somehow the coaches were at the same casino.
Yeah, they were. That
and
Not supposed to happen.
No.
which it's not supposed to happen, but it's so odd that it did happen. That they, I mean, I think you went. Did you go alone that night?
No, I was with Peyton.
Okay,
Burdick.
there you go. You were with Burdick, and wasn't picking up the phone. Wasn't picking up the phone. And I think somebody come to the table?
No, I finally stepped away. I was on a heater, so I stepped away for about 10, 15 minutes, and I checked my phone, and Brownie called me like 6, 7 times, and he also sent me a text like, "Hey, dude, I see you. Can you answer your phone?" And so we talked that out, and yeah, that was the second call up, but that was definitely a little different from the first one.
So walk us through. You have had quite the journey. I'm gonna give a little preface of what Mr. Dane Michael Myers has been through. Um, he was drafted by the Detroit Tigers
Correct.
as a pitcher out of Rice University, and actually converted to an outfielder position player, more of a third base actually.
Mhm.
So you were kind of a utility guy.
Yep.
Was that in 2022 or 21?
That was pre-COVID, so that was
Oh,
19.
pre-COVID. Oh, even
Uh-huh.
farther. Okay.
Halfway through 19.
Oh, interesting. Had a great year. Got Rule 5'd over to the Miami Marlins in 2023. Had this giant leg kick. I won't ever forget it. Giant leg kick. I thought it was the weirdest thing ever, but he just hammered baseballs. I was like, hey, if it works, it works.
Swung and missed a lot though too.
But after that, a couple injuries and a really good 2023 earned you a spot and a call-up of your very first call-up up to the big leagues with the Miami Marlins. Walk us through that debut. What was that day like for you?
Yeah, the debut was a little crazy. First day I was there, I didn't play at all, which I think was good because my mind was a little sped up. I was a little tired too. But a former Shrimp, JD, the next day had gotten hurt. I think it was like the 6th or 7th inning in a blowout game, and the game doesn't matter. The game's basically over. We're up 10, 11 runs, and I'm in the dugout. My heart is racing. I know I'm the guy going in for JD. I see JD, good guy. Hate to see him hurt, obviously. But I knew it was me, and our bench coach tells me, "Hey, Dane, it's your shot." Stretch a little bit, probably not enough. Run out the center, and Skip taps me on my chest and says, "Hey, it's your time. Go get him, buddy." And I'm like, looking around the stands, like, "Okay, I'm here. This is it. This is my chance." And ended up having a good day. Had a bunch of family and friends there, so it was a pretty cool experience.
Did you debut in Miami?
I did.
That's cool.
July 4th.
That's- July 4th,
July
too. Oh,
4th,
and you got
yep.
the cool hat.
Yeah.
Oh,
Cool socks too.
Oh,
American
cool.
socks, American
I
hat.
had to put that in there.
Yeah.
Socks too.
Yep.
That's awesome. Who was most excited for you? I like to debut. What was your first? Who was your first call? I guess is my question.
Well, wife found out first. She was with me.
Shout out Mallory.
Yeah, shout out Mallory. Best wife there is. Second to Haley. But no, she was the first one to find out. I called my mom first. My mom has gotten me to this point. She's sacrificed a lot being a single parent, raising 3 of us. So she was the first one and probably the most excited. Lots of joy, lots of tears on that phone call. So it was a cool one.
So I just remembered this before we change subjects. I just want everybody to know that I actually asked Dane to be on this podcast a little bit earlier in the year as well, and he repeatedly said no. And once he saw how popular we were getting,
Yeah.
now he's like, I got to jump
Get
on the
me
train.
on.
As
Yeah.
a big leaguer, as a big leaguer too, right?
Yeah, and that's the coolest part is now he's back as a big leaguer, and now we're gonna have even more clout
Uh-huh.
because he's got a big following on Instagram now.
Oh, that's not that big.
What is it? How many followers you got?
Maybe 5,000, I think.
Oh my God, you're him.
What do you got? You gotta have at
Oh
least
my
10,
God.
right?
No, I got like 2-ish.
That plays.
Do you got an OnlyFans?
No.
Okay, so this will
No,
not
no.
be showing up on Dane's OnlyFans.
To let's change the subject.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's
I
my
like
fault.
that decision.
You just talked about your family. I read this great story about your mom, and you referenced single mom. She was a real estate agent, and at some point when you were playing all these sports as a kid, baseball and football, that your older sister needed to drive you, and that your mom went to the DMV to plead with them in Texas to give her license early, and they did.
hmm
I mean, what an incredible story. A, your mom, and you referenced her a little bit, but B, like, what do you think about that when you think back to what she did there? And also your siblings as well seem to play a big role.
Yeah, they played a huge role. I don't know if that DMV experience really flies in like a big city. We're from a small town, so I think we had a little pull in there. But yeah, I think she was maybe 15 or 16 when she got her license because my mom was working really hard, like you said, and I had practices and things I needed to get to, and my sister thankfully stepped up as kind of my second mom and took me to those things. So I'm very grateful for that. And my brother is a special person. Played the father role basically of the family and was a really good big brother to me too. And never had to pay for a baseball lesson or anything like that. He's always been my coach. So my family's everything to me.
And now you are a dad yourself. With your siblings, I believe they're like 9 and 11 or 10 and 12 years
Mhm.
older than you. Like, how much do you take from them in your parenting with your wife and what your mom did for you? I mean, do you take some of those lessons? I would think so.
Yeah, I take a lot. The way they raised me, being the baby of the family, was cool to see, and taking those experiences and kind of trying to apply them myself. They both have kids now too, so I got to watch them raise their kids as well, and kind of see how they did it, and they've turned out pretty special as well. So I'm trying to do the same with mine.
Let's go back to Rice because and Troy mentioned this, like your journey as like a pitcher slash position player, and it's always been like that. I think even to college, right? Like you
Mhm.
went to Rice mainly as a pitcher, and then they turned you into a position player. Before we get to the Tigers part, because that part's fascinating, what was the conversation like with Rice? Because you're able to do several different things, and how did they plan on using you as a freshman versus at the end of your time there?
Yeah, you guys keep saying pitcher, but I think I was more of a thrower on the mound. Didn't really know what was going on. No, but yeah, it's probably the main reason I went to Rice. I really felt like they were going to give me the opportunity to do both from the first day I stepped on campus, and sure enough, they held true to that. I didn't really play too much my freshman year. They kind of wanted to see what they had in me. We had a really good team, so I knew I probably wasn't gonna get in the lineup, but I got a chance to pitch a little bit and showcase that, and kind of just rode that out throughout my career and got better at both as we went on.
Is your guys' head coach still at Rice?
He
The
just
same one?
died a week ago.
Oh,
You're
jeez.
kidding.
Yeah, rest in peace, Coach
I did
Graham.
not know that.
Yeah.
So I actually played at Rice. Dane and I missed each other by a year.
1 year?
I think by 1 year. It was my sophomore year. It must have been your senior. No,
Junior year?
Yeah, junior year, something like
Mhm.
that. I think we missed each other by a year. But I still remember his walk out to the mound. And if you've ever been to Rice, the dugouts are so far from the field.
Yeah.
They're unbelievably, like, the distance is, like, I don't know why they designed it like this, but they did. The skyline's cool, everything like that. But I remember him coming out to make a pitching change.
It's a slow
and
walk.
he's shuffling. And he's going to get there. And he's going to get there. And then halfway through, he's,
Yeah.
all right, bring in the next guy. Then he's like, all right. Then the guy's got to run back into the dugout almost because it's so far.
Yeah.
But-
You thought that was brutal to walk out there? You should have been out there for the mound visits, man. Wow, he gave it to us pretty
gave
good
it-
out there. But it's the reason I think we played so well in college. He was such a good coach. Pretty old school, obviously. I think he was like 84, I believe, when he was coaching me my junior year. So old school, hardball, but he got the best out of all his players. So I'm pretty thankful for him.
So leading up to your time at Rice, you're a very athletic. If anybody's ever watched Dane on the baseball field, you are a very athletic player.
Thanks, Troy.
You're not very good at ping pong, but you're very athletic all around the field. Was there any other sports you played growing up that kind of helped you be that athlete?
Yeah, my first love was football. I really thought I was gonna take that a long way, but obviously that's not what happened.
Nose guard?
No, I played quarterback. I wasn't great at quarterback. I was a little better receiver, running back, but I played a little basketball, played a lot of football, obviously. So I think those two helped me. Probably something I wasn't planning on sharing, but I did a little bit of ballet growing up.
You're kidding.
I did just a little bit. Wasn't my
Breaking news, we have Dane the ballerina. Oh my God, that's great.
Wasn't my idea. My sister's and mom's idea. My brother kind of pulled me out of that after 1 year. Kind of saw what was going on. I was like, I don't think we can have him doing this fully, but I think that might have helped a little bit too.
Dude, the dots are connected. You know how hard it is to be a ballerina, to be a dancer?
Yeah, amazing.
It's not easy.
They're unbelievable.
It's not easy.
Good for you.
I mean, I'm not good at it anymore.
Do you have any pictures?
No, I might, but
Are
I'm
they
not,
buried?
I'm not gonna share.
Are they?
I can't
Dane,
share that.
Dane,
Those are tucked way
on.
away, way away.
Wow. So, okay, so what age did you do that at? Because that's interesting. That's
Yeah,
really
that's
interesting.
really
I
interesting.
think I was 6 or 7.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because I know thinking about it, when I was a kid, like I did gymnastics and I don't think I did like any dance kind of things, but like those, like the things that like put you in weird positions to show you how to use your body.
Mhm.
Like it's not just, baseball and football and swinging sports or stuff
Right.
like that. Like that's a difficult thing to do.
It's not easy.
What did you learn? Do you remember much of it?
No, I
No?
try and put that way away in the memory bank.
Can you show us anything? that you-
Nah,
No?
not today.
Okay.
Maybe in the clubhouse.
Did you have the shoes?
I had the shoes.
Because they're what? They're flat toes? Something like that? So you
Yeah,
can like stand on them?
so you can get on your toes.
Dude, that blows my mind.
We didn't get that advanced at 6, but
Yeah, that makes sense.
we were trying to get the choreography right. But
Crazy.
Yeah.
That's very
what?
cool.
I won't put my son in it. We'll figure something else out.
Okay, if you have a daughter, she go in it?
Yeah,
Okay.
if she wants to.
All right.
We'll see.
I could see. Interesting. Dane, do you
You
don't
want to
call
give
it
it
a
a try now?
I kind of do. I want to get it.
Let's find a class.
I think you're gonna smoke me. I'm gonna be embarrassed. I'm a pretty good dancer. I got some videos out there circulating the internet. But what would you call ballerina? Is like it's a woman dancer. What would you call a male dancer?
That's what I was trying to think.
I have-
Ballerino.
Ooh, maybe.
A
Like
little Latin
Spanish?
twist
Yeah,
on
I was
it.
gonna
Yeah,
say a little Latin twist. Ballerino?
It's a good question.
I don't know. I have to go to the bowels of the internet for that one.
Yeah.
Dane, that is
He's
breaking.
mind blown.
I am
Yeah,
mind
he's
blown. I don't even know what to
mind
say.
blown.
I don't even know what to
Yeah,
say.
you guys are
You're
close.
telling me.
Yeah.
You're telling me the MLB big leaguer Dane Michael Myers was a ballerino.
Sure was.
That's crazy. So, because seriously, when you're out on the field, you make some unbelievable plays. Like even last night, you jumped over the fence, which I thought was significantly more athletic. Because if you tried to dive or you tried to do anything else, you're probably getting hurt again and you're going
Probably.
back on the IL.
Yep.
But the fact that you were like, nah, I'm just gonna jump over and save myself. Like it was athletic. It was chill. You laid there for a second. I was
First
like,
play
is he
back
dead?
too. Yeah. First play back. Goodness gracious.
But interesting. So how's your golf game?
It's all right. I think
All right.
better than yours.
That's not true.
We'll
We'll
see.
see. We'll see.
We'll
in
see
January.
really soon.
I'm coming down in January to play him.
Yeah.
So
Show them the way in Houston. Yep.
I don't know. Texas golf is different though. I've never played in Arizona. I haven't played Texas golf. I played in California. Played up in the mountains. But mountain golf's different. Every shot is like you're on a hill, down slope, side slope, whatever it is. But
Mhm.
Texas, I would imagine, is very flat, and it's like you got to hit the fairway because if not, it'll just roll off.
Yeah. Flat land, a lot of trees, good amount of water.
Trees.
But I think you're a big fan of the water, aren't you?
I like swimming.
Yeah.
I try to avoid it.
Yeah. What are you, draw guy? Fade guy?
No, I'll hit a fade just like most baseball players. Baseball players will hit fades unless,
Mhm.
like, if you're an actual golfer, you learn how to hit a draw. I know how to hit a draw. I just don't prefer to.
Perfect
kinda hard.
baby draw. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to hit a draw. But as a baseball player, we try to like our hands usually lead everything, so it usually pushes the ball to that open side.
Yeah, that's my problem. But
I'm gonna
the thing
smoke you.
is
I'm gonna
too
take
with
all your money.
no, I don't think so. We're gonna play for a good amount of skin, so I hope
Ooh!
you're ready.
All right, hey, tell Haley to empty the bank account.
So at Rice, friend of the show, his wife was on, Tristan Gray.
Mhm.
You guys were roommates. How crazy is that you're roommates in college and then you're playing in the major leagues in the same team?
Yeah, it's pretty wild. Going back to Rice, going back to that freshman year, like I said, I didn't play much. Tristan actually basically played over me. So,
Interesting.
yeah, pretty cool. He deserved it. I mean, he was obviously still a good player, but in college and high school, he was something special. But yeah, being roommates and knowing Tristan as long as I have was pretty cool, and then getting able to finally link up in pro ball was pretty awesome.
Was that like tough as roommates? Like that you're competing for a job? I mean, did you think about that as a freshman?
I think it would have been a little bit tougher if I didn't know Tristan beforehand. We played a few years of travel ball together, so that's kind of how we got set up, being roommates. So I think if it was a random stranger freshman, I probably would have had a little animosity towards him. But it was Tristan. It was my good buddy, so I was happy for him.
And he said when he signed with the Marlins in the offseason, I think he at least talked to you about the organization, at
Mhm.
least in some ways. Obviously, he's with the A's now, but what was that conversation like? It's one thing to be college buddies chasing the dream. It's another thing to be on the cusp, which you guys both are. What is that conversation like when it's like his livelihood, your livelihood is, you're not competing at this point anymore, but it's still like the money difference between AAA and the majors is so significant. And that's what he was thinking about, I'm sure, in the offseason.
Yeah, I tried to just shoot it to him straight, kind of give him everything that I had learned in the past year about the Marlins, and I told him I thought it was a pretty good opportunity for him, and hopefully he got a bunch of chances to get called up, and he got a couple. Unfortunately, not a ton of opportunities up there, but he kind of did his job. He had a good year down here in the Shrimp, hitting a bunch of homers, and I think he's a good player. I think he's an everyday shortstop, infielder. I think he can still play the outfield. So I just tried to tell him, hey, dude, if you're looking for a spot where you need some opportunity, I think this is a good spot for you.
And it shows that the A's pick him up. So it's
Yep.
like, yeah, clearly people were watching him play. To go to the Tigers, your numbers as a pitcher were not bad.
They were
as a
okay.
thrower, yeah.
As
as
a thrower, there you
a
go.
thrower
There
were
you
not
go.
bad. And then maybe your last year wasn't necessarily all where you needed it or wanted it to be. How did you know? Because I think they approached you first, but you were going to go to them and maybe try to make that transition to a position player. What was that whole mindset like for you?
Yeah, the first half of that year was tough. It was basically the first year I had thought baseball may have not been my calling. I was getting hit pretty hard, not throwing too many strikes. When I did, it was getting put out of the ballpark. But thankfully, I didn't have to face Troy back then, or else probably would have went for 4 or 5 for 5 that
I
day.
was significantly better in 2019. Yes.
No, but yeah, I had finally built up the courage after talking to my family and friends to go and ask the front office if I could make the switch, because I really miss playing every day and really miss taking at bats and things like that. So I finally got the courage to do that, and sure enough, the front office approached me and asked, "Hey, we think your path to the big leagues is as a hitter again." And I couldn't say yes quick enough, and it worked out.
So walk us through, since of course, you went through the whole pitching stage, throwing stage, and now you've become a hitter. What's been kind of like your core attributes or your core thoughts? Especially we have a lot of young listeners that listen to this podcast that, are baseball players. Like what's picking the mind of a big leaguer, like what's your thoughts when you go up to the plate?
Not much.
Not much.
Not much. I think the best hitters are the guys that don't think too much. And I find myself when I'm in a rut or struggling a little bit, I find myself overanalyzing, overthinking my swing or what pitches to swing at. I think you think more whenever you're preparing. I think you get ready for your at bat, and once you step into the box, it's more okay. It's just time to compete.
Good. I like that a lot, actually.
Mhm.
That's a lot of what, like, you know, have you worked with kids before? Like
A
with
lot.
Yeah. So, a lot of kids they'll like soak that stuff up and be like, because it's hard. Because there's a lot of coaches out there you watch on Twitter, on Instagram that are like, hey, you got to do this and this and this, and
Yeah.
Mr. Teacher Man himself.
Hey, shout out.
But the thing is, realistically, I 100% agree with Dane. Like, when you get into the box, you got to compete, and nobody's up there swinging the bat for you.
Right.
All your preparation, everything that you've done, and you put in a lot of work. Walk us through your routine beforehand, because that really sets the stage for the rest of the game.
Yeah, I'll walk in, I'll take a look at what the pitchers got that we're facing that day, and then I'll hit a little bit of tee. I'll do my top hand stuff, and then depending on what the pitchers got, I'll go machine or arm and kind of simulate whatever the pitcher's going to be throwing that day. So trying to basically emulate what I'm going to see come 7 o'clock.
Mm. Good, short, sweet, right to the point. All
I
right,
like your preparation, though.
You like my preparation?
I've watched you for a couple of years, and I think you're spot on.
Break
I
down
mean,
my preparation. What do you like about it?
The numbers say so.
Ooh,
You
thank
don't take you
Ooh,
don't
talk
take
dirty to me.
you don't take any swings where I feel like you're just in there hitting. I see a lot of guys in the cage, and they're basically just hitting to hit.
Yeah.
You know what you're trying to do, what you're trying to work on that day, and it's something I like.
I like that. That's a good way to look at it. I think that's a lot that a lot of people don't talk about is, it's hard to get it through a young kid's head or even a professional's head of swinging with a purpose.
Mhm.
Every swing has a purpose. There's
Yep.
no we're just getting in there to get loose. It's
Mhm.
like your first swing of the day is the most important swing of how you feel.
Yep.
Of what you're working on, whatever it is. And then after that you build off of that. That's a good way to look at it. I'm glad I could touch you with that. Appreciate it. I do have a really important question though.
What you
One for
got?
Scott.
For me,
Yes.
Hey.
So we were talking about this yesterday on the field. Have you ever had In-N-Out?
no,
It was a big question.
Okay. Have you ever had P. Terry's?
no.
Whataburger?
I've had Whataburger, yeah.
It's my
We
guy.
were talking
my
about
guy.
fast food restaurants yesterday, and we were talking about what the best burger. The guys on the West Coast, we all like In-N-Out. Love
So
In-N-Out.
that's yours. Okay.
I love, but they don't have In-N-Out up in Washington. I got to go down to Oregon to get it. It's like
I didn't realize it was up that north, to be honest with you.
yeah, they got one it's north of California, south of Portland. It's a ways for me. I don't get that too much. They got a not a knockoff, but they got a mom and pop shop that is like just like In-N-Out, but it's better ingredients. It's nice. But Whataburger has been a new thing for me ever since I met Dane last year, because all of a sudden we're driving home from the field. All of our family, we would all drive together most of the time. I think last year,
Yeah.
because we lived together, and it'd always be 10 o'clock, 10:30. Hey, can we stop at Whataburger? And I'm like, dude, I've never eaten here. I don't know what to get.
Can we
I
or
know-
are we?
I think we
are
are. I
stopping
think it was
at
more. I think it was more
Whataburger.
demanding. I think it was more demanding. You better stop at Whataburger, or else I'm gonna throw a fit, kind of thing.
That's very much like you.
But what's your order at Whataburger?
Oof. I switch it up a good bit. If it's after 11, I gotta get a couple taquitos. and
Okay.
I gotta get a honey butter chicken biscuit. If it's before 11, I'm gonna go 2 burgers.
Okay.
Or I'm gonna go 1 burger and a triple meat patty melt.
Wow.
That's when I'm feeling a little frisky. If I'm going triple meat patty melt, that usually leads to a stomach ache, but it's worth it.
Don't you take something? You take something off of it, don't you? Is it mustard? No, you didn't take the mustard.
Off my burgers, I
Yeah.
take lettuce and onion off.
That's what it is.
Add mayo and mustard.
That's what it was. What do you get at Whataburger?
I actually get
Whataburger?
chicken. I actually get chicken.
Chicken?
Yeah. They have they're
Oh.
a sponsor of the Jumbo Shrimp. So every so often, they have Whataburger in the front office. I'm more of a chicken guy than a burger guy, which I know is weird at Whataburger. So I'm sorry to disappoint you.
It's good chicken though.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
good chicken.
not
yeah.
bad.
Mm-hmm.
Is it comparable to like Chick-fil-A?
No, I would say it's different. I'm not a Chick-fil-A. I'm not a really big fast food guy though.
Yeah, neither
So I
am
don't like Chick-fil-A. Sorry, Chick-fil-A. I don't know if did I offend you?
No, he said
No.
he's not a big fast food guy, and
I like Taco Bell late night.
yeah.
Big on Taco Bell.
In high school I was. My wife is Mexican, so she's very anti Taco Bell. So
Your wife is Mexican?
yeah,
Yeah, I
Maddie's
didn't know
Mexican?
that.
Maddie's Mexican. Yeah,
What?
her dad's side. She looks more like her mom, so
Yeah.
she doesn't.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Does she speak Spanish?
No, it's disappointing.
Oh,
Her
one- I was
grandparents.
one of those
do.
Mexicans.
Okay. All right. Shout out, Maddie.
All right.
Interesting.
I want to get the hitting stuff is interesting. I had a lot of scouts who ask about players, and a lot of them ask about you when you were here. And they're like, "How does that work with his mechanics?" And I would say, "Well, I'm not a scout. You are the scout. I just call what's happening on the field." Like, but your mechanics are unique because your hands are low. You do have a big leg kick. Where did you develop all that? And I'm sure it's like just one of those things where it just happened. But like, is there a science behind all that?
uh, I think somewhat it's kind of just molded in what's gonna get me on time, the most consistent. It's funny because in high school and kind of growing up, I was a guy that had my hands pretty high, and I put my foot down really early. And to see how my swing has molded to now is kind of completely different. But it's just a lot of work in the cages, a lot of swings to where I found my swing. I think that is my A swing, and I'm kind of riding that out now,
It's just a feel thing at the end of the day.
basically.
Wow.
I like that. There's a lot of guys that go off feel now,
Mhm.
especially at this level. It's because you've taken hundreds of thousands of swings, and you've hit so many different baseballs, and you know the feeling. Like you see guys pimp home runs. It's because they know the feeling. They
Right.
know what the ball off the bat should feel like. They know what the spin should feel like. They know the angle of the baseball off of it. They know where their body should be in a certain position. Like it's interesting that there's so many guys becoming feel and not so much like you got a couple guys that are mechanical that are like just I gotta have this and this and this, but
Mhm.
a lot of guys are like, hey, I'll switch it up. It's a long season.
See, I think there's a couple keys in a swing that you have to be a good hitter.
Elaborate.
On time.
Okay.
I think you need to be 50-50 whenever your foot strikes after you load. So basically when you're getting into launch position, and then I think you just have to take basically the barrel to the ball, and you have to be on time to do that. I don't think there's any time for you to lose the barrel or open up. But I was gonna say, I think getting back to the feel part, I think like today's age in baseball, I think guys are trying to copycat. Well, one Aaron Judge, shout out teacher man.
We love
but-
Teacher Man on this show.
Do we?
No.
We did.
We did.
We did
We
until
did.
he came at me, but
Oh, that's sick.
I still like the guy. I still think he's a good hitting guy, but I think there's multiple ways to hit well. I don't think there's one set way. I think different guys have different moves, and that's kind of what makes them special. I think we're kind of getting caught up, especially little kids trying to copy, like I said, and try and make their swing like Aaron Judge or Matt Olson, somebody that hits a bunch of homers. And when you're 7, 8, I don't know how many homers you hit when you were that age, but
Like
I didn't.
20.
I didn't. Oh, okay.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I didn't hit that many, so I think you got to learn how to hit first before you start hitting homers. So I think
Ooh.
you got
Quote it.
to learn your swing first and learn how to hit before you can get to the advanced stuff, in my opinion.
Nice. So you've had an extended period in the big leagues now. Almost, I would say almost a year.
Almost, yeah.
Almost a year.
Mm-hmm.
So have you picked up on certain guys that have been up there? Have you learned anything from them? Taking things maybe you don't like? I don't know. Walk us through if that happened.
Yeah, not a ton that I don't like. I think a lot of the big leaguers kind of have their set way, and it's the right way. But a couple guys I've picked the brain of: Louis
Yep.
Arise, one of the best hitters in baseball. Jazz, obviously. Brian De La Cruz. Mabes, our hitting coach. Hartman, our hitting coach. Colby here. All played professional baseball and played it well. So just seeing what they kind of did, getting ready, preparing for games and things like that. But it's kind of cool to talk to the older guys that played back in the 80s, 90s, and seeing the difference and what the guys say in today's game. So just trying to pick the brains, and I'm a guy that likes to take information wherever I can get it and kind of sort it out and get my own opinion and things like that. So it's been cool to be around guys like that.
I think that's one of the biggest things that I've taken away. I know we talked about this on the podcast, is when you're coming up and you're learning baseball, there's so many people, especially when you have a little bit of talent, and you're a little bit athletic, and you might have been a ballerino.
Ballerino.
But a lot of people want to get in your ear, and they want to be a part of that success, and they want to tell you how to do things. They want
Right.
to they want to coach you. They want to be a part of that. But being a player and being stubborn on how you using your words, how you sift through all of that,
Mhm.
how you decide what you're going to keep, what you're going to throw out, what you're going to use, what you're not. I think that's the most important of what makes good players is they know what works for them,
Yeah.
and they can repeat it often. And watching your swing and the way that you play baseball, everything is very repeatable.
Mhm.
There's not something where it's going to change day to day, at bat to at bat, swing to swing.
Right.
Everything's very repeatable. Your moves, the way, even your jumps in the outfield,
Pretty
the
good.
way you run, that kind
Yeah.
of stuff.
Mhm.
It's all repeatable stuff that I know that over time, and I get it, a 7-year-old's probably not going to do that. But over time, 18, 19, 20, 21, whatever it is, that's when you start sifting through and you really become who you can be as a baseball player.
Yeah. It's cool because my brother, like I said, he's been my hitting coach for 20 years, 21 years, whatever. But I was going through it last year, and he brought up some old film. I think I was like 8 or 9 years old. He's like, "Hey, look at this. Does this look like your swing now?" And I was like, "Not really." He's like, "Let's get back to this." And
Ooh.
sure enough, I kind of took off after that point. So it's cool, obviously, just to go back and look at some old swings, but to see like my mechanics and how I was moving back then, kind of similar to today, is pretty awesome.
It's interesting how athletic kids can be too.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
The facility I work at, I got like these 10-year-olds, and I'm like, you have a better swing than a lot of people I play with, and you don't even know what you're doing.
Yeah.
You're just trying to hit the baseball.
It's
Uh-huh.
natural, right?
Yes,
Like,
it's natural.
to your point, what you were saying is people try to get involved in the process and you overcoach. And that's what your brother's saying. Let's get back to this was just you at 8
Mhm.
years old. That's cool.
Yeah, special coach. Like I said, my brother's a special guy. Knows the game. He's been watching it and living and breathing it since I could remember. So yeah, I pick his brain whenever I can.
I got one more for you. Because your hitting sounds like such a feel thing, does bat play into that? Like the type of bat you use in terms of the wood or the length or the barrel or whatever, the handle, the knob. Is that a thing? Like there are guys who are just like, I'm really loyal to this brand, and there are guys who do the whole bat fitting. Like where do you land on that?
It's funny because I kind of got a similar story to Troy this year. I've been stuck when I first switched over to hitting again. This guy, Cody Clemens, pretty good big leaguer, gave me one of his Chandler bats. And I remember my first at bat I took with it, I hit a ball really hard to right center. I was like, okay, I think I like this bat. And I used that for 3-4 years. And then at the beginning of this year, I switched it up a little bit. And it was a tough start.
Really?
Tough
I didn't
start
know
to the
that.
year.
What'd you do?
I tried to go bigger.
Oh,
Tried to
heavier?
switch up the weight.
Gotcha. Interesting.
What an idiot.
Yeah,
What an idiot.
Same.
But yeah, I switched up the weight, and it felt okay. It just didn't feel right. And sure enough, about midway through the year, or no, a little bit before that, I went back to the bat I originally started swinging, and things started to feel a lot better. So I think whatever works for you, whatever makes you most comfortable, most confident in the box is what's going to work out for you.
That's interesting you asked that because there's so many players that don't know what kind of bat. They just pick up a bat and they're like, hey, I'm
Really?
just going to swing
That's
with
it.
this.
Yeah,
Yeah, until it takes a long time to figure out what kind of bat you like.
it
But
does.
again, there's a lot of people that like at spring training, they'll line up all the bats, and the dealers will come out and all that kind of stuff, and you just pick them up and you're like, yeah, this one looks good. I like this. This one looks good.
Yeah.
It almost starts. What metal bat did you swing when you were in high school?
I
college?
always use the Exos because they
Exos.
had the biggest barrel possible.
Yeah.
That's why I never K'd in high school, but now I K.
Now they have limits on how big the barrel can be.
Yeah.
Did you like tape your bat a certain way? Did you just use it stock? Like what?
I had my brother throw some athletic tape on there, a little fat knob at the bottom.
Interesting.
like-
Very similar to the bat you swing now.
Yeah, basically making me choke up without feeling like I'm choking up.
Interesting. See,
Mhm.
that's the same way because like when I made bats, I taped a flare knob just like I have my bats that I do now, and so I can hang my finger off. And so that's interesting because maybe it starts at a younger age than we think,
Yeah.
and it's not like maybe they see something, they try something, it feels good, and they're like, oh, okay, cool. Like I'm gonna do this instead. Like there's so many different variations of bats now, like an axe knob, things like
Yeah.
that. Like
Mhm.
I've thought about
X-Man.
that
I think you'd be good with an axe bat.
because it's kind of like what I think about
Yep.
is like pulling it down, pulling it through the zone. So
Yeah.
I've had a couple hitting coaches tell me to try that out, but I always go back to old trusty.
Spin the barrel.
Yeah.
Spin the barrel and snap it.
Snap it. Why not?
Well, Mr. Dane, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate through all the no's that I got, all the I'm not going to do the podcast. You finally came on.
Persistence pays.
Persistence
Yeah.
pays off. Thank you so much for being with us. We wish you all the best and all the success here in baseball, whether it's in Miami or wherever else it is. This has been Turn 2. You can get us wherever you get podcasts. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Dane, thank you again for being with us. Not only are you a good friend, you're a great baseball player. We're really excited to see all the success you have in front of you.
Thank you, brother. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks, Dane. All right.
Cut!
Thanks, man.
Thank y'all.